Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Manahil, remote job Valley, and I am a student of Rehan School, Korangi Campus. And I am joining you from the vibrant city of Karachi, Pakistan. Today we have the privilege of hosting our truly remarkable guest. His name is his man of diverse talent and profound insight, Mr. Rip. Mr. Rip is not just a name; it's a story of dedication, spirituality, and resilience. Residing in Lancaster, he has spent many years as a pastor in the Vineyard churches, touching lives and inspiring souls. But that's not where his journey stopped. Rip has also ventured into the world of business, embracing the challenges and triumphs it brings. His thirst of knowledge led him the theology schools, where he delved deeper into the mysterious and beauty of faith. And amidst all this, he found time to pen down his experiences and wisdom in his book, Shattered, Serving and Thriving After the Worst Pan of Life, titles that speak volumes about the struggles and victories of the human spirit. So, without further ado, let's extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guest, Mr. Rip. Thank you for being here with us today. Let's embark on this journey and unravel the layers of your intriguing life and the lesson it holds. So, welcome, sir. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Appreciate the invitation. It's
It's
nice to
my
be with you.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, please introduce yourself for my viewers.
Okay. So my name is Rip Wahlberg. Like you said, I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, in the U.S. With my wife, and we have 4 children um, and one grandson, and they're all terrific. Sorry.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your introduction. So now let's move on to questions. My first
Hmm.
question is on your screen,
Okay.
Mr. Rev. Could you please share a bit about your journey and
Sure.
how you become a pastor in the Vineyard churches?
Yeah. So I had attended the Vineyard churches for many years as a young adult, and we attended the churches, a church, when we lived in Connecticut with my wife and our family. When we moved here to Pennsylvania, God began to speak to me about basically taking the church over that we were attending, which was also a Vineyard church in our area. And he brought that to he made that happen as he spoke to me about it over a period of time. And after probably about 2 years, he was moving the pastor on, who had started our church, and that pastor approached me about taking it over. And it really seemed like it was the hand of God. And so my wife and I, just trying to be obedient to that, said, yes, we'll do that. And then I took the church over um, in 2011. So that's kind of how I started and became a pastor of the within the Vineyard churches.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer.
Hmm.
So now let's move on to next question. My next question is on your screen. You seem to have a deep interest in theology. How has attending theology school influenced your perspectives on faith and life?
Yeah, that I like that question a lot. That's a terrific question. I do have a deep love for theology. To me, it's the understanding of how to know God in a relational sense, not just the what we call doctrines and the things that the church teaches, but it's theology is knowing God and knowing Him personally. And in that is for me, is studying His Word, studying the Bible, both to understand it, but then to also understand who God is because he reveals himself to us in the Bible. And so and then how it's important to me is that it shows us the story of what God is doing on the earth. That God is, he created humanity to be his like partners and to be part of his family on the earth and to do like have a place in a position. And then it's just telling a story of how on the human side we keep kind of messing it up and what God's doing to help remedy that, and what his ultimate plan is. And I find that when we understand this in story, it's just really beautiful. Like I find that when I'm reading God's word, that and I see it in the context as a story, not just as moral teachings alone, it helps me become more like him. And because it's profound in just the beauty of the story that God is telling and the work that he's doing on the earth. Like the things that we do, things that humans do, not always beautiful. There's a lot of things that you see going on in the world right now. But ultimately, the story that God is writing and trying to tell, and the thing that he's performing or doing on the earth is ultimately always beautiful. So there's kind of a contrast between those two. And for my belief is that it's we're the ones that need to understand and be transformed to become like him. So that's how it's just very beautiful and compelling to me.
All right, great. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So, my next question is could you tell us about your book, Shattered?
Mm-hmm.
What was the motivation behind writing it?
Yeah. So my book, Shattered, it's available on all the digital platforms that you could find. If you search Shattered and my name, Rip Wahlberg, you would find it. The book is about our loss of our 4-year-old son 15 years ago. So 15 years ago, our fourth of 5 children, he died in a drowning accident. His name was Aiden, and he died in a drowning accident. And so the book is about not it tells some of the story of our story and what it's like. The objective is to point out really like how do you walk through things and pains in life and really find God's healing so that we can not just survive those pains, but so that we can thrive again in life. If God is who he says he is, then we can't just theorize these things. We can't just he's either like real or he's not. And what I found and what I tried to do was open myself up to his healing, but it actually took going to the pain. And so I kind of talk about that. I talk about ways that we, with the various pains, not just in my life, but in our lives in general, how we, what we call inebriate the pain. We avoid the pain instead of allowing ourselves to feel it. The God's path to healing is not to be harsh with us, but his path to healing is actually to walk through it, and he promises to walk through it with us. And so I highlight basically some ways to do that, and things that why does that help. um, and it's counterintuitive. We think in terms of we want to avoid painful situations, and that's very understandable, but I highlight that like Jesus went through the pain of the cross, um, and that God Himself says things to us like, um, "Give your cares to me, cast all your cares on me, because I care for you." It's not that God's actually wanting us to be just. He doesn't want to. He's not trying to hurt us. He's actually trying to heal us. And so I wanted to share my pain in a very open and raw way, so that basically others might be compelled to address theirs. So I tried to share mine for the sake of people that have avoided theirs. Not just a loss of a child, but the whatever, basically, as that translates into someone else's life. May not be that they lost a child, but they may have had any host of a different number of other things happen to them that are just as important in their world as mine was to me. And so, in hoping that they would then um, be drawn to open themselves up and allow themselves to walk through the journey of addressing and finding healing from God.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your explanation. So now
Mhm.
let's move on to next question. My next question is: the title suggests a journey through hardship without giving too much away. Can you share a pivotal moment or lesson from the book that you find particularly meaningful?
Um, yeah, it is a journey of hardship, to be honest. And there was a point at which I was sitting in a pastor's meeting, and we were singing a song, and it just kind of caught me off guard, um, and I just I stopped singing, and I just started to reflect on God and on what was going on in my emotions inside of me, and in that. Uh, um, Slowly I began to have this encounter with God, and I started to just pray to him, and I said, "Did you see me? And did you see what I did for you, like in this worst tragedy of my life? Did you see what I did?" And slowly in that conversation, while the music's playing and I was just not doing that but praying to God, and all of a sudden I felt God say to me, um, "Yes, I saw you. I saw what you did for me. I saw that you did not turn your back on me. You didn't blame me. You didn't turn your back on me. I saw it." And then he said, "And I'm so proud of you." And that actually pretty much knocked me back in my seat from standing. And I fell down into my seat and I started to cry, and I just was reflecting on him, and his presence and his love was just kind of very, very, very powerful, tangible to me at that moment. And out of nowhere, he followed up without me asking, and he said, "I'm so proud of you. Now, will you let me touch your wound?" And I knew what the wound means, will you let me touch this thing with Aiden? And I said, again, the intensity of that crying just, it magnified, it got bigger in me. If I wasn't sitting down, I probably would have fallen out of the chair. I had to hold myself in the chair. His presence was that strong, but it was like love. The presence that was there with me was not harsh. It was not dark. It was just love. And it was like waves of love. And I said to him, I said, "Lord, I've never held that from you. I don't know what that means for you to touch my wound, but you can touch my wound. I trust you." Um, and it just kind of continued the journey that I had been on, which was to go take moments and seasons or moments of time and allow myself to have the pain. But he was kind of saying, I'm I'm with you in those times, that you're having, that you're hurting, and that you're encountering your sadness. But that was a incredibly pivotal, just because it was such a powerful experience with, you know, the invisible world, an invisible God, and me. And it was clearly personal. It wasn't something just like, yeah, you see me in the midst of a great crowd, but it was you and I are having this exchange and nobody else is having this together at the moment. And it spoke of just how much he cared. And I find that to be I have rested in that in the midst of continuing. Like, so what was pivotal about it was uh, that he's a good God. And I just kind of like took that in my relationship with him, and it took it deeper. And so I was just wonderfully blessed by that encounter in that moment. So that's in the book, and it's a small part of the book, but I tell that story, and it was a very pivotal moment for my personal journey. Yeah.
Great, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful answer. So now let's move on to the next question. My next
Mhm.
question is, how do you hope your book will impact its readers?
Yeah, I what I hope is that I do hope that the book reaches, broadly to a number of people. And what I find is that what most of us do is we hide our pain, and we hide it from other people, and we shield ourselves from also feeling it. Again, understandable, but it turns out that that's a path to, I'll call it bondage. Like, it's a path to just being enslaved into all kinds of not healthy, helpful things. And so, what I hope the book does is I hope that in me sharing my pain, I hope it relates, because I open it up and I basically ask the question, but what about yours? Not just mine, but what about yours? And I hope that it reaches people's hearts where they realize for themselves, yeah, I've been holding this thing, and maybe I want to take the chance. Maybe God is good enough. Maybe he's kind enough. Maybe he loves me enough that I can risk letting this be touched in my life, so in their life. So I hope it connects for people like that, that it translates to open, that they'd find the courage to take that risk for themselves and meet God, who does care about them in the midst of it, in the midst of their own journey.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So my next question is, in your life, have you faced any challenges that have significantly shaped your faith and outlook?
Hmm. Um, well, yeah, like the loss of our son was certainly one of them. It's probably the worst one. Additionally, when I was 13, my mother died suddenly as well. So I had that one before I ever had the one with my son, and these have shaped my life in that, among a host of reasons. What I did was, for me, I instead of turning away from God, I turned more toward Him, um, and pressed into faith. And it doesn't mean that my problems went away. It meant that I had something that could ground me and help sustain me in the midst of hardship. I find that in the Christian faith, many people today are trying to. It's easier to hear, well, if you turn your life over to Jesus, everything gets better. And I find that that's not something that is translatable, like, so that it's not necessarily true. What's true is that there's a restoration of a relationship from within which God does sustain us. And so uh, that is one of the things that I have found, that in the midst of those hardships, such as my mom passing away, losing our son Aiden, there were they among a number of others, those were two very, very difficult things. And I find God to still be faithful, never leaving me. we also had actually recently, well, 2 years ago now, we closed the church that I pastored, that I took over. And that was difficult. I'm still kind of working that out now. In what was this all about? Like, why did we take the church over just to close it? And what can I learn from this? Was it my fault? Did I do things that just weren't helpful? And I'm finding it again to be more, I need to go address this as opposed to shy away from it, and avoid it. And so, I, I'd say those are three things. And the last one is even the most recent, that are struggles in my life. And what I've learned is that instead of running away from and turning from faith, turning toward faith even more, pressing in more. And what it's like saying, you can have all of my life, whatever that is. And the places that I've been keeping from you, you can have all of my life. So that's kind of how those things have formed me, is that they cultivate in me the desire to give more of myself, not protect more. It's counterintuitive, but it's actually the path to life.
All right, sir. Awesome. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So, my next question is how do you balance your business and rewards with your spiritual commitments?
That's a great question. I would say it's not easy. And it's kind of like, you just try to help your life become integrated. Like, you live through not always compartmentalizing, like, and so that's kind of the best way I can describe holding these things together. Because you do have, like, how do I do business? How do I, in this case now, like, schedule time for studies and so forth. Um, you do have to be disciplined. Like, you have to be able to say no to certain things in order to say yes to other things. So for example, we were invited out this evening, and I had to say thank you so much, but no, I got studies I have to do now. And that comes at a cost, but also comes at, because what I'm pursuing in my life is what I'm passionate about. And so you don't compartmentalize, but you have to say no to certain things in order to be able to say yes to the things that you're looking to do. Um, and looking to do long term, right? With the long term thing in mind. Also, just integrating. Sometimes I'm, like when I was pastoring the church and working, I would often be just, okay, I'm still being pastoral, take phone calls with people while and minister to them while I'm working. Whether it was pray for them, whether it was listen to them, so forth. There's a way that you kind of integrate, because life is always moving fast. And so you have to figure out, in those ways, technology is a very helpful tool. And if you use the technology as a tool, then it's helpful to be able to do those. So I find those two things, like, so you have to integrate your life in such a way. And like, sometimes I would take my children along with me, and just, on things, so that I'm still getting time with them, but, we're sort of integrating what we're doing, together. Sometimes I took my kids on ministry trips that I would do, so that they were getting time with their dad, and whatnot. And then other times it's saying no to something in the present, because I'm also dedicating myself to pursue things that I'm actually looking to build for my future. Um, so those are some ways that I found in order to do that. And I find that those are the two most prominent things for me.
All right, sir. Awesome. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. And as our time together comes to close, I would
Hmm.
like to express my deepest gratitude to Mr. Rip for sharing his remarkable journey and insight with us. Your experiences Rip, are not just stories, but beacons of hope and resilience that adaptively resonate with many. To our viewers, I hope this conversation has been enlightening for you as it has been for me. So, Mr. Rip, life is a testament to the power of faith, the strength of the human spirit, and the beauty of transformation through trials. Rip, we are immensely thankful for the wisdom you have imparted today. Your journey from being a pastor to an author for navigating the challenges of life, thriving in them, is truly inspiring. Thank you so much, sir.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure to be with you, and I hope that it did bless and inspire you and your listeners, and just blessings on all that you do. I think you're doing a great thing, and love to see um, young people just really going after just motivational things and pursuing just a really vibrant adult life. That's really wonderful. So good for you.
It's my pleasure.
Yes. Been my pleasure being with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. So this is Manahil, remote job Wali, signing off from Karachi, Pakistan. Until next time, keep seeking, keep learning, and keep inspiring. Bye. Have a wonderful day ahead.